This meeting's being recorded, and thank God it is, because there'd be no other way for you to keep track of what Tyler and I are thinking this week. We Live Fantasy, Xfinity, Phoenix, 200 laps. Not a lot of drivers I like this week, but we got to find the value. We got to find the guys. The Final Four first-time championship race has been at Phoenix, but the good news is the cars have raced at Phoenix before, so we kind of know where to go. We kind of know what to do. And the Final Four for Xfinity this year, Justin Allgaier, Chase Briscoe, Austin Cindric, and Justin Haley, who I have been screaming from the mountaintops, especially at the beginning of the year when he was getting no love in DraftKings pricing, just because I know how damn good he is, and he definitely proved it to us, just like Zane Smith, a young talent who's going to have a future in NASCAR forever. I love Justin Haley, and you know what? I really I haven't had a extremely profitable week since the Richmond race, and we talked about it in the trucks how Richmond is in the same realm as Phoenix. It's not really, the same thing, but it's in the realm. And I had Justin Allgaier and Justin Haley in all my lineups that week, and those guys were duking it out back and forth. It seemed like Haley had him on the short run, and then Allgaier would take over with his experience the last half of a run. This week, very interesting pricing, very more bunched up as opposed to the trucks with the Championship 4. The Championship 4 in Xfinity this week are 1, 2, 3, 5, with Ross Chastain sitting right there in between Cindric and Haley. So if you were to look at just the championship contenders, your value and place differential for those guys are actually the more cheaper options on the slate, which is very interesting.
Yes, no, it absolutely is. I think it's kind of interesting how they put Briscoe at the top of the slate, considering this is Phoenix. But I'll take it. I think Allgaier is probably the better play. But again, this is the same situation we had in trucks. You got to have all four of them in lineups because you never know. You really don't. I mean, Briscoe's won, 9 races this year? He can easily do it again. So I think, again, this is where history's proven itself. You need to have 2 of the 4 guys. And unfortunately, we can't get quite as much value out of our picks as we could in the trucks with Enfinger and Zane Smith. But I still like going the Haley down there, and I think he's going to be the lowest owned pick on the championship floor.
Yeah, and I tell you, Haley just proves time and time again that he deserves it, man. He's been running so good. He is going to be back in this car next year. He wants to get a championship underneath him. You got Briscoe leaving for Cup for the 14 car. You got Allgaier. I don't remember reading anything about his situation. I'm sure he's fine for next year.
He's staying at June.
Okay. Cindric, who's going to do another year in Xfinity and then bounce over to the 21 car for 2022. Hunger-wise, I think they're all about even. I think they all want to prove that they're the guys. Veteran-wise and seasoning-wise, Justin Allgaier's definitely got the most veteran aspect of these 4 guys, but Briscoe has just the raw talent power behind him. Cindric, really, really good on tracks where you got to control that throttle. Hell of a road.
He's the Austin Hill.
Huh?
He's like Austin Hill on those tracks.
Yeah, he is. I just feel like you can't count out any of these guys. And I think just when you count out Justin Haley with like 50 laps to go, he's going to find his way up there and be contending for this thing. Let's kick it off. We got Chase Briscoe starting second at $11,200. Obviously, you're going to be playing Briscoe at some sort of effect, but about how much exposure on Briscoe are you thinking this week?
I'll have maybe 20, 25%. I know he's going to be higher owned than that, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I just don't see him. I don't see him doing well enough at this type of track. If this was, a Darlington or a 1.5-mile track or something like that, or Dover, I would say all in on Briscoe, but I just don't see him being the short track guy that
Yeah,
he
even
used to.
Homestead, really, if it was still
Yeah,
at
or
Homestead.
Homestead for that matter, right? Even if we stayed at Homestead, I think he would have been a way better pick, and I would have faded Allgaier. But this is Allgaier's house. He's proved that time and time again. He's the pick. He's the guy at 10-9. He's going to lead laps starting on the pole, I, which which is fine because I would have been there regardless. But I think you need to pair these guys individually. I think you need to go your Briscoe Allgaier, your Briscoe Cindric, your Briscoe Haley, and then work your
Yeah.
way down from there. Uh, but I think Allgaier is probably the favorite, and he'll
Yeah.
be the high.
And my favorite pivot stack out of stacking the championship guys is definitely Allgaier or Haley. But I've seen it with my own eyes. I cashed a comma with those two guys um, over at Richmond, and it's going to race similar speed. And I really think if you want to get different, everyone and their sister is going to have Briscoe Cindric stacks. So if you want to be different, try to get a little bit frisky there. I think that's going to be your way to do that. But I I don't like counting out Penske cars at Phoenix because they have proven that they kind of have the pedigree of having Phoenix pretty down, even up to Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, and Ryan Blaney. It seems like those guys are always kind of there at Phoenix.
Yeah, they are. And like you said, in the cup level, they definitely show up. Brad K showed speed here. He finds his way up in the front. So does Joey Logano. He won here earlier this year.
Yeah.
I think another team that you got to always look at, and it's going to sound crazy, but I think they're going to go overlooked here is JGR. They have phenomenal numbers here. And even just recently this year, Brandon Jones won the race, obviously. But they're at one point in the final stage with like 20 to go. Or it might have been a little more than that. They were all their cars, all four were in the top six, including
Right.
Herbst. Herbst ended up tagging the wall and finishing like, I don't know, just outside the top 10 or whatever with the damaged car. So they've got speed and they're going to bring it again. So I'm going to have a lot of them, even though they're not in the playoff four.
Yeah. West Coast race, TRDs out in California. I'm sure they're going to have some TRD guys there. And they're going to want to finish well, not making the final four in this championship, being in a Joe Gibbs equipment. It's hard to believe that a JGR car is not going to be in an Xfinity championship because I feel like they're always there with Toyota. But next year, those guys get another round of racing under their belts and maybe back to some normalcy. I think it'll definitely help Herbst and it'll definitely help Burton being younger guys and younger drivers and moving up the ranks. And neither of those guys are going to Cup next year. So they're in it for the long haul. They're in it. And honestly, I think Harrison, another one of those guys, it's probably going to be in our sport for the next who knows how long with the pedigree and the family tree and the lineage that the Burtons bring along.
Well, the last name really, but yeah.
Yeah. Have you gotten to your boy Ross at all there?
I have. I actually like that he's priced that high because hopefully that'll keep people off him. I'm also happy in a sense that he's not in the championship four to keep his ownership down.
Yeah.
But if he was, boy, I'd be upset to be racing against him because he knows how to get around this place. He's proven it time and time again. He had the same race pace speed as Allgaier earlier this year. He ran with Allgaier. He led some laps. So I'm there. I'm all over him. I'll be pairing him again with a few playoff contenders and then seeing what I can fit in below. But he's going to lead laps. Don't overlook him.
Yeah. Justin Haley, touched on him. I like Justin Haley. Just like Grant Enfinger, he's going to be your lowest owned championship competitor. And he has just as good of a shot as all those other guys. That's why he's there.
That's right.
Harrison Burton, you touched on him, JGR. Runs good here.
He does.
It's does he get up there and able to pass those top four guys? I don't know. We'll have to see it. He sure didn't have a problem with it last week. Noah Gregson.
Or the week before.
Huh?
Or the week before. Harrison Burton's won the last two, hasn't he?
Yeah. So hot, $9,900 for arguably one of the hottest guys on the racetrack. Daddy and Uncle ran pretty well at Phoenix too over the years. So pretty interesting. Wood Button. You got Noah Gregson, you taking any stabs at Noah this week, or are you just kind of gonna fade him?
I will. I will. I listen. I hope he's watching this video, and I'm gonna tell him that I'm semi sorry for making fun of him for blowing up every single race to his face the other day, but he does do it.
Oh, the
It's,
perks of living in Charlotte.
oh, I know it was great, but it's the truth, man. I'm sorry. Like you're wearing a bomb uniform for Halloween. You are the fucking bomb in the field. Like it just had to let
Yeah,
you know that is
it's
the case.
hilarious. So don't feel
That's what
bad.
we the viewers see. That's what Justin Allgaier even sees. Just ask him; he'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm sure you stole him in a few of those Tuesday morning meetings.
yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, I do. I have Gregson. Listen, he's Allgaier's teammate. He ran well earlier this year because he had a very close form of Allgaier's setup here. I think that's going to be the case again. He's going to have a very similar setup to Allgaier. We know how good Allgaier is here. And I
Yes.
tell you, Gregson doesn't need any more excuse to be good at short tracks. He's good at short tracks. Again, we're going to consider this as a sort of short track type style race.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely a play. I also uh, like Hemrick starting 18th.
Yeah. One of my favorite plays this week.
Yeah,
Um,
it should be, but
one.
he can't pitch a race. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. Um, uh,
you
no,
brought up that they're still in the race with that car for the championship owners points. So that's good to know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, they're going to be gunning for it. The problem I have with Hemrick is that when I go there with him, I feel like I'm missing out on Jones. Um,
And you are.
this is one of those tracks, just like Martinsville. Once you kind of get around it and you understand how to go fast, it, I, you just got it, and they're going to
Right.
be coming with a revamped kind of, okay, well, how did we end that race? What was in that car? How do we make it just that little bit better for Brandon in case we make the final four, and are here for the championship? So another shocker to me that this JGR car, probably the most seasoned out of the JGR team, didn't make more of a stand going into the final four. It's kind of shocking to me, but when you look at all the wins that Cindric and Briscoe have accumulated, it makes total sense. It's like Phil Mickelson being stuck playing against Tiger Woods for a decade when you're in your peak of your career. It's just like, well, I could play the best golf in the world. I could race the best I can in the world, but I'm going up against Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric, who are just elite kind of level drivers. Um, and I feel like I can't miss out on Brandon Jones. And
No,
if you have to have a championship guy in your lineup to lead those laps and be up there, you gotta have someone else to kind of back him up. And I think Brendan Jones could be that low owned kind of guy to back him up. Michael Annett, 9K, starting 10th. He's gonna finish 8th. Okay, we do this every week. So if you go Michael Annett, just know finishing 8th, and
you're going to get 44 points.
that's
You're
where
going
he
to get
is
44.
in points. That's where he is with his average finishes. That's where he is with his life. The good news is he'll be back next year to do the same fucking thing for us. Might be a little bit higher since Chase Briscoe, so that average finish might bump up to 7.4, which we'll take because he starts 10th every week. So we'll take it. Um, these next three guys are kind of that precipice of where I kind of feel comfortable with Sieg, Moffitt, and Herbst. Um, of course, I love Brett Moffitt. That team's doing amazing things in that O2 car for who they are and what they are. They're doing amazing things. And I'll be damned if I wasn't so excited watching him run so well at Martinsville in that car, too. And the week before at Texas, and the week before that, I think that team's going to be really good next year. Um, I really like Moffitt and Herbst. Herbst, like you were mentioning earlier on the phone, Herbst ran really, really good here with a damaged race car. Um, and another JGR equipment. We always like attacking the lowest guy on the price totem pole with the best team. This is the lowest owned JGR guy you're going to get, or the lowest price JGR guy you're going to get.
Yeah, and last year he did well. He really did. He didn't run well in the beginning of the race, but he ended up there late in the third stage or midway through the third stage when JGR had 4 of the top 6 positions. He tagged the wall coming out of 2, I believe, and fucked up the right rear of the car and actually screwed up the spoiler too, and still drove back and ended up finishing just outside the top 10. So
Yeah.
I like Herbst here. He's going to have fast equipment, and you're right. With being the best car or best team on the slate, lowest priced, how do you not?
Yeah.
And especially with how weak the rest of the field is price-wise versus their position. I mean,
Yeah.
really, anybody – the only other people down below Herbst that I even really care to talk about or would even consider taking is J.J. Yaley starting 34th, David Starr 29th, and then Matt Mills starting 32nd.
Okay. I want to add in there Snyder's in the 21. Brandon Brown just will always have a place in my heart. BJ McLeod.
I'll have my Brandon Browns, dude, but that's the pick you're not supposed to take that I'm taking, so I didn't bring him up.
My pick this week is BJ being in his own equipment. Every time he's in his own equipment, he goes out there and runs really well.
I know, but if you look at the notes, dude, and you look at the spreadsheets, he just doesn't finish better than 22nd. So, even if he's in his own equipment, he doesn't. So, right. I don't know. I love BJ. I love BJ. I love little BJ.
Every time I take David Starr, he blows up. So he made my blacklist 2 years ago. Every time I take him, he blows up, and it's just heartbreaking. Surprisingly, Josh Williams is up to $7,200. Alex LeBay, $7,100. Those guys just keep surprising me. They're in the starting realm where you almost feel like you can come out of the bomb shelter when you start them, but it's a super risky play because either of those guys could get washed real quick. Get washed really, really, really quick. Yeah, that's really the guys. That's, if you want to call that the player pool, then that's the player pool because I'm not gonna be burned by Earnhardt and Little 4 weeks.
All right, you ready? I want to help you with the Snyder pick, dude. You can go there if you want, and I'm not telling anybody not to, but I want to throw this out there.
All right.
I watched the race early. I had to find my notes. They disappeared on me. The race earlier this year, he was also in the 21 car. He started 15th and ran 15th to 20th all day long and finished 14th. So, do you want 35? Do you want 35 points? If you want 35 points, overspend on the 35 points.
Okay.
But I will tell you, he does have a ceiling. He can get up there. He's got high potential to finish top 10. It can be done.
Yeah.
I just can't knowingly put my money there. I would rather take J.J. Yaley starting 32nd or wherever the hell he is.
Yeah, or BJ or anyone.
Yeah, or Herb starting 9th. I'd rather take Herb starting 9th than Snyder starting 15th.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because of what I've seen and what I know the cars are capable of.
Right. What about your boy Matt Mills this week?
I love Matt Mills this week. I'm all over him.
Good. Thank God.
Yeah, him and Starr are my 2 low guys. And you know what? I'll take some stabs at Weatherman because I can't not take stabs at Weatherman at 31. You got to. So I'll have a few stabs at Weatherman.
I like it. My favorite lineup I built this week so far is Allgaier, Haley, Brendan Jones, BJ McLeod, Mills, and Yaley. 3 guys that could get up there, and then I got 3 guys for place differential. Leaves you $300 on the table. Like I said before, I like the Allgaier Haley stack. It really did me well. And now I have supreme motivation to play those guys, considering they're both battling for a championship. So that's a lot of fun. If you wanted to get a little bit different there, try to save yourself, you can go Cindric and Haley, since those are the biggest. It's not a lot But if it comes down to it, those guys are going to get more place differential than anyone. And Briscoe and Allgaier will lose place differential if those guys get passed by those guys. So it's a good little strategy to try to get to. You get third, fourth, and then it leaves, if you go those two guys, you get 7,300 left over. You got to dive low for one of those guys, but you can get back up there to a respectable section there.
Yeah, I think I'll be avoiding a lot of the center here, so I'm gonna be 2 low and 4 up top. I think is where I'm gonna end up this week.
Yeah, and that seems like a pretty realistic section to be in.
There's nobody from, like I said, from, let's say, from Weatherman up to Brian Vargas are just useless to me, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's the big dead zone. I mean, like you brought up the BJ thing. I could get behind that. I guess I could see something there. I could see, first of all, Jesse Wuji did not get the fastest laps the other week. I don't know how that happens.
Listen, I'm fighting that like this election.
Yeah. We need a recount. Diaz.
Hey, what a surprising run for him last week.
Dude, he fucked everything I had going last week. I didn't have enough.
God bless him, man. I tell you, he went against everything anyone could ever think about racing at Martinsville. He just went out there and balled out.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And you know what? It's unfortunate because you can't take him this week starting 24th.
Yeah, I know. Listen, this is a different animal than Martinsville. You got to have engine, you got to have aero, you got to have handling. You can't just go out there with handling and a low motor package and no aero like you can at Martinsville. You got to have your shit together at Phoenix. Similar to Iowa, right? It races like a short track, but it runs like a speedway. I mean, you get going. I mean, look at the RPMs those guys are going to be pulling. And you got to have that top end power that you're going to see the championship guys and the elite kind of guys have.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pay up week, and I hate those kind of weeks. But you know what? At this track, it makes sense. It does. It makes sense, and that's why I fall that way on with my lineups. I mean, I'm looking at some juicy lineups here. If you take 2 low and just pray, you could really get some goods.
Yeah. The problem is one or two of those championship guys are going to lead all the laps.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I'm saying you need
one or
2 of the 4. You need 2 of the 4 in your lineups.
Yeah.
You need 2 of the 4. If you want
I like Cindric Haley. I like Allgaier Haley. I haven't. The Briscoe lineups I made have been Briscoe by himself because I just can't feel good about it without having just Briscoe by himself, and that scares me. But at the same time, man, some of them look really juicy. So my Briscoe lineups, I went max place differential and then a couple guys that could run in the top 5 there. But I had a really hard time with Briscoe this week.
Don't not take Briscoe because he will shit all over your face.
Oh, I know he will. It'll be like that movie Zach and Miri Make a Porno where the guy gets shit all over him. That's what it'll look like.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly like that. Like. He's done it to me. So
if you go
ahead.
No, you.
All right. So I was just saying, no, if anyone needs any help with these lineup builds, and I said in the truck video, we just had somebody reach out to us. One of our members reached out and asked for low end help on the low picks. I sent them an email this morning and told them, where I was at with my picks. And I'll do the same for anyone else. If anyone's got any questions, shout at us, Facebook, Twitter. You've got us, obviously on the website too, which is where we got that message. And continue to follow us. We're constantly evolving. Looking forward to this week and moving on to next year. I'm ready for our playbook, our review of 2020 and our 2021.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool and different. No one else has anything like it, baby.
Yeah, we're doing it. So look forward to it. It'll say Justin Allgaier at Phoenix no matter what. So
yeah, and Michael Annette will finish 8th. We had them projected at 7 though this year with Chase Briscoe being out. So So true. Like
It is.
like the page, go to WeLiveFantasy.com. Follow us on all of it. We have good content out there for you. Um, reach out if you need us. We're going to be building lineups tonight, tomorrow. Be having a good time. So hope you guys have a good night. Peace out. We will have a cup video out shortly. Go Justin Haley, baby.
Well, no. Anybody but Haley. ABH. Sit.